When it comes to mystery fiction, one of the first and one of the most popular work that comes into anybody's minds is Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's creation of the great detective Sherlock Holmes. And it has been translated into many aspects through time, from TV shows to movies and even anime. While its overall appeal vary, none of them has ever looked to change the format in a meaningful way. And to my knowledge, Yuukoku no Moriarty is the first that tries to do that. And not only does it succeed, it does it in a way that adds to its already grandiose inspiration and ends up creating arguably the best Holmes-based property as of yet. Nineteenth century London was not a pleasant place to live in, especially if you happened to be one of the common folk. Being suppressed and treated like livestock by the part of the populace calling themselves the nobles was a very common occurrence in that era. This is something the noble-born Albert Moriarty hated. The fact that the much powerful and influential nobles, including his own family, was using status for their own gain while making the lives of the lower class much more miserable is an ideal he swore to himself to change. Although he was powerless on his own, Albert comes across an orphan who pretty much has the same ideal as him. One with an extremely high intellect with the capability of outwitting and outsmarting even the most educated of adults. Taken into the Moriarty household, this orphan takes his new identity as William James Moriarty, who later becomes a mathematics professor and the world's first crime consultant, with his goal and his brothers alongside Albert's embarking on a journey that crumbles the high boundaries of society and bringing equality to the people using any means necessary. Taking place in a class-separated city of 19th century London, this anime focuses on the journey of William and the rest of the Moriarty family in their goal of exposing the foul sides of nobility via pre-planned crimes and assassinations, while also blindsiding who happens to catch wind of their plans, especially individuals like the famous and the great detective Sherlock Holmes. Let's start off on a quick personal note. From my early ages to the present, I've always been a nut for Sherlock Holmes stories. I've read almost every book I could get my hands on, watched almost every TV show and movie, and even dipped my toe into anime based on The Great Detective before this. My point here is that I'm a big fan, and any small disservice to the original material is enough to send me right off the rails. And that's exactly why it comes as a surprise to me. Even though it alters, adds, and rewrites some of the stories I grew up with, it still feels so right in the terms of writing and characterization. But that's me talking as a Sherlock Holmes fan, however. As a fan of all other mystery stories, Yuukoku no Moriarty is a widely different strain of mystery compared to many other similar works. It's a story that doesn't make you pick a side who is good and who is evil, and instead, both sides are morally ambiguous, and it pretty much makes you pick a side based on your own morals. Whether you're a veteran of the series or just have heard some of the stories as a passerby, one thing that is common is that the stories of the consultant detective's arch nemesis is a massive mystery of itself. Yuukoku no Moriarty uses this as an opportunity to introduce a backstory for the crime consultant to be the first chance it gets, creating bonds between him and his newfound family, and having him and the rest of the people around him, including yourself, live in the setting of a class-based 19th century London where aristocratic hierarchy rules over the common folk and made their already painful livelihood even more miserable. What this does in turn is it serves as a foundation for the future actions of the Moriarty family, and for the first half of this journey, it does not let you forget that base. As every aristocrat they exact their plans on, it always ensures both the family and the viewer themselves know why said aristocrat deserves what they're going to experience. And the threat of the Moriarty family is further enhanced as almost every time the perspective shift to the noble being punished, showing the fear and the dread they experience at the time being extremely close to their demise. Where the series does shift its already engaging format is by its halfway point, and this is where the series goes from Moriarty the Patriot to Sherlock the Detective. Of course, we all know it's coming, as there has to be some point in the story where Sherlock Holmes himself is introduced. After his introduction, however, William becomes more of a mastermind in the shadows, similar to his original counterpart. But this doesn't seem to be a letdown, as the personalities of the original characters are extremely well realized and translated here, that it's as entertaining and as brain-teasing as expected to be the same flat of 221B Baker Street as expected. And as expected, When following Sherlock Holmes, there are cases to be solved, and while most of these cases tackled here are pre-Moriarty in the original works, they are rewritten and reorganized in a way that it does involve William in the shadows. But surprisingly, it never feels like it hinders the enjoyment that the original cases gave, and these rewritten and reorganized cases are as good. It even takes the creative liberty in putting characterization on the fast track for characters like Sherlock Holmes and his trusted companion, Dr. Watson. And it is at the apex of these cases the series pulls you to pick your side, be it William's more quicker, more effective and unlawful method of justice, or Sherlock's more slower, flawed, but lawful and acceptable way of justice. Well, the first season's end feels like it's something we left to be completed by its upcoming second season. What it has done so far leaves hopes extremely high. Just like how good its writing is, its character portrayals are also as good. Yuukoku Moriarty's cast is massive, with increasing numbers taken all over from its original work, with some roles being reworked to fit the different narrative. For some examples, there are characters like Lewis, Albert Moriarty, Fred Porlock, and Major Sebastian Moran, who are introduced as crucial wheels in William's plans, which of course is a creative liberty the series takes. These characters don't stand out individually, except maybe Albert Moriarty, but each of them are given enough personality to not feel like just existing to further the narrative. But the main highlight of it all is the characterization of the duo that is the heart of the series, William James Moriarty and Sherlock Holmes himself. While Moriarty's original personality is more of a mystery than the series itself, his almost unignorable presence backed up by his calm but demanding voice is one of the best portrayals of the character I've ever seen. Seriously, the voice of V.A. Soma Saito on William James Moriarty is a match made in anime heaven. Just listen to this! While Sherlock's voicing by V.A. Makoto Furukawa is almost as distinct, it's the portrayal of Sherlock's out-of-the-box thinking and unpredictable and bizarre personality that takes the cake about his character. It's almost as if I was back in my childhood reading the books for the first time, as I was always intrigued and confused about almost everything he was doing, but he gets the job done anyways. While Sherlock's posse only includes the likes of Dr. John Watson and Mrs. Hudson as of yet, the portrayals are remarkably like their original counterparts, whether it be Mrs. Hudson being extremely happy to kick Sherlock out the first chance she gets due to his quote-unquote experiments, or John shadowing Sherlock, witnessing his unorthodox methods, and getting a first-hand look at the directions he gets pulled as an individual. If the series goes forth basing inspiration strongly on the original material, I can safely assume the characters that are going to come are going to be as intriguing. Production IG is a studio known for high-quality visuals and consistency in anime, as proven by their other titles, be it the over-the-top volleyball action of Haikyuu to the eye-candy to visuals of Psycho-Pass. But unlike the rare occasion that they don't deliver, Yuukoku Moriarty is one of IG's finest when it comes to visual flair, whether it be the 19th century setting where its smoggy atmosphere is caused by the start of the age of industrialization, to the interior set pieces where most of the plans and the executions happen. Seriously, these things look amazing. Visual tricks are also used to strengthen the narrative, like how most of the colors bleed out on the screen during climaxes of the plans of the Moriartys, which enhance their presence and threat as a result. Best of them all is the character models. From almost all of the iterations of Sherlock Holmes I've seen, including IG's own recent Kabukicho Sherlock, this has to be my personal favorite when it comes to the characterizations of the cast I've seen so far. Williams and Sherlock's character models himself make them look so simple, but it ends up enhancing each of their unpredictable natures. I can even extend that to the supporting cast as well, from the characters like Albert and Moran to Lestrade and Watson. In a personal viewpoint, they look almost exactly as I pictured them to be depending on their personality. Apart from depending on its second iteration to follow it up, Yuukoku Moriarty is an excellently crafted telling of a story of one of the most unpredictable characters in fiction. It takes creative liberties to tell its tale of a 19th century London while having William in the center, whether it rewrites cases, set pieces, or even character roles, but it never feels like it does a disservice to the original inspiration. Its narrative makes you pick a side without a wrong answer, as both sides are morally ambiguous, and coupling that with some of the most unpredictable characters and narrative moments in recent anime, backed up by great visual tricks and overall great visuals and animation, and What Is Left Behind is one of the best portrayals of the Sherlockverse as of yet. If this is the beginning of what's to come, I am more than eager to see where the series goes next.